Okay, sorry, this is part two of my response. I just remembered what I was going to say about it. You mentioned about how humans are could be dangerous because of language, or in that sense. And I'll agree, and I think I'll bring something new into this discussion because of that agreement and how I agree with it. Um, what makes us so, I guess, superior as we could see it, um, adaptable and flexible, in that we don't have to stick. I mean, we have instincts, but we're more malleable. I can get up and move somewhere else. I can reproduce wherever I want, um, as opposed to, let's say, penguins is a popular example where they have to go to a specific spot in Antarctica to reproduce. If they're intelligent enough, intelligent, I don't want to be biased. Some people could say I'm biased and say, oh, they just have a different kind of intelligence. But if their consciousness was, if their decision making was malleable enough, they could say, see, hey, wait a minute, I understand my reproductive system, and I'm going to try reproducing somewhere else, and maybe it's going to work. And they would try all sorts of things, and they would find out that they don't need to go to the specific dangerous part of Antarctica in order to reproduce, and they'll just reproduce wherever they want. But they're not capable of doing that. And I think we're able to do that, not because of words, but I think words have something to do with that. They're connected. It's our ability to make up things that aren't there, to perceive things that aren't there, to see something fictitious, to see a relationship. Your relationship is merely you and something else, and the interactions that you have. But the moment that you embody it as a thought, you can understand it. You are making up. You are making up a fictional thing that you're naming your relationship, that you can dissect and say, oh, this is in and this is out, this is not touching, etc., because you're making a representation of what's out there. And you're making a representation that you can relate to. And the moment that you make a relation, you can understand. And I think that's what metaphor is. Metaphor is taking something that you can't dissect and understand and making a fiction that has much to do with, that is inspired by it, but that you can understand and that you can dissect and you can respond to. And in no way can we say that these metaphors are false, that there is no relationship, that there is something in, there's something out, and that there's an up or under, an in the horizon, out of the horizon, because the horizon isn't there. Because we've survived, we're still here, we're not extinct. These concepts are useful to us. They allow us to understand things. And so it is a good thing that we make these kind of fictions. And they're useful tools. They are tools. And that's what, I guess, language is. That's what the sense of history is. Yesterday is no more. The sequences of events are no longer there, yet we're still able to see them. We're still able to remember them because we can conjure them up. We can make a representation of something that doesn't exist. I can make a representation of myself eating breakfast. It's not happening anymore. But I know that it happened because I'm keeping a system together in my brain, or whatever, wherever it is. I'm able to remember it, and I can make decisions, very good decisions, based off of what has already happened, stored in my brain. That's not just in the instinct, like action-reaction, oh my goodness, something's in front of me, I have to get away, like a lot of wild animals. And that's the thing, it allows me to say, okay, well, I know that this is healthy, and I know that I'm allergic to this, and I know that, etc. And it's because we can make a fiction. It's because I can conjure the image up in my head, and that's what can make us so dangerous. And I think I'm gonna bring that back because that's what I wanted to say. Because we make systems of representations, things that aren't there, we will sometimes risk, and I think you will agree, we sometimes risk, and we do risk, coming up with something fictitious and basing off more representations on that fiction. And the most prevalent thing that you can talk about, I guess, on YouTube would be religion. A lot of people would say that religions are they're these things, they're these metaphors that people wanted to understand the world by, and so they created them. And what happened is that it went out of hand because people started assuming those to be, they couldn't see how it wasn't useful, because you could say that as long as you're willing to conjure concepts up, some of these concepts might not be disprovable, and there's no way for people back then to falsify them, and therefore we just built up these concepts on top of concepts on top of concepts, and yeah. But that's just one way that can be dangerous. Faulty reasoning, fallacious logic, these are all things, bad decision making, these are all things that can be associated with the danger of making things up within a system. Someone that you can say is insane can be said to be insane because they're using a way of thinking that has gone through too many forks and is no longer reliable, or is no longer faithful to the reality that surrounds them, because they're so much constantly basing things off of assumptions which they themselves are kind of mental metaphors that we make shortcuts to understanding what's going on. If I see someone waving their hand, I can assume that they're saying hello to someone, but they could just have a spasm in their hand, and I could assume that the person's just fine, but maybe he's in danger. Maybe he has a spasm and it's some sort of condition and I need to help him, but I don't know that. Same thing with fallacious reasoning. It can lead you to negative things when you misunderstand a concept. And misunderstanding itself is itself attributable to this kind of power that we have to make things up and to be fooled by our own lies, so to speak, fooled by our own conceptions. And that, I think, is what can make us dangerous. While a lot of animals, they don't make any assumptions at all. They only act on what's there and what's not. I'm hungry, food, yes, no. They don't build up all these concepts about, oh, well, this race is superior to that race, and except my wife is cheating on me, therefore I must kill her. But I really just misinterpreted all the things that have been going on, and she's not really cheating on me, and whatever. So yeah, there's none of that, and that's, I think, is probably what makes us so potent, so effective. So it's why we have so much effect on our environment, as opposed to how you could probably say something else is, because we're so versatile, because we consider things that aren't there. That's pretty much it.